Imagine a human body without its veins. This is the Indian subcontinent without its rivers, a network of water that directly sustains 1.4 billion lives. To understand these systems, we start with the basic anatomy: the high-altitude source, the smaller tributaries that feed the flow, and the massive basin that collects and directs the water toward the sea. In India, this network is powered by two distinct engines. In the north, the system is driven by the massive frozen water reserves of the snow-fed Himalayas. These Himalayan rivers are young and volatile, while to the south, the peninsular rivers are ancient and stable, relying entirely on seasonal monsoon rains for their volume. This geological divide is the primary factor determining India's agricultural wealth, its historical settlement patterns, and its modern water-sharing conflicts. The Indus River begins in Tibet, near Mount Kailash. It flows northwest through the high-altitude valleys of Ladakh, cutting through arid, mountainous terrain, where it merges with tributaries like the Zanskar. As it descends, it gathers the flow of 5 major rivers: the Jhelum and the Chenab, the Ravi and the Beas, and finally the Satluj River, forming the massive western network of the Punjab. This shared geography necessitated the 1960 Indus Waters Treaty. This map shows the formal split. The 3 western rivers were assigned to Pakistan, while the 3 eastern rivers were assigned to India. However, the volume is not distributed equally. The 3 western rivers carry 80% of the total water in the system, leaving the eastern rivers with only 20% of the flow. Because these rivers provide the primary irrigation for some of the world's most arid agricultural zones, control over this flow is directly tied to the survival of the hundreds of millions living in the basin. Further east, the Ganga is formed through a complex series of mergers. Multiple streams unite at the Panch Prayag, finally becoming the main Ganga at Dev Prayag. Once it reaches the plains, the Ganga sustains the subcontinent's most densely populated agricultural heartland. Along the Ghats of Varanasi, the river functions as both an economic lifeline and the spiritual core of the nation. But the system is also highly volatile. Northern tributaries like the Kosi carry immense amounts of silt from the mountains. These deposits force the river to frequently change its path, resulting in the floods that have earned it the name Sorrow of Bihar. Managing this constant volume requires massive infrastructure. At the Farakka barrage, the river is divided. The Hooghly branch continues through West Bengal, while the main Padma channel flows toward the delta in Bangladesh. The Ganga system presents 2 distinct faces. It provides the essential resources for the nation's largest population centers, yet its scale and sediment-heavy flow require constant, intensive hydraulic management. The Brahmaputra begins as the Yarlung Tsangpo in Tibet, flowing east for over 1,600 kilometers before hitting the Namcha Barwa Massif. There, it makes a sharp 180-degree turn, cutting a deep gorge southward into Arunachal Pradesh. As it enters the Assam plains, the river's staggering volume of water and silt creates massive, shifting landforms, like Majuli, a river island surrounded by the vast, muddy expanse of the main channel. The Brahmaputra is a relentless force. Its power is so great that it continuously erodes its banks, rewriting the physical boundaries of northeast India with every flood season. South of the Himalayas, the landscape shifts to the Deccan Plateau. Here, the bedrock is ancient and rigid, and the rivers, lacking glacial sources, depend entirely on the seasonal monsoon. The Narmada is a notable exception. While the majority of peninsular rivers follow the general eastward tilt toward the Bay of Bengal, the Narmada flows west with aggressive force. This cross-section shows why. The Narmada is confined within a rift valley between the Vindhya and Satpura ranges. These massive rock walls prevent the river from spreading out, forcing it through a narrow trench that prevents the formation of a delta. Further north, the Luni River presents a different anomaly. It is an inland drainage system that flows toward the desert, becoming increasingly saline until it evaporates completely in the Rann of Kutch. Unlike the silt-heavy, shifting rivers of the north, the peninsular rivers are permanent fixtures, strictly confined by ancient geological formations that haven't moved for millions of years. The Godavari, Krishna, and Mahanadi define the rest of the plateau. These giants flow east, carving through the ancient rock, to build the fertile deltas that sustain the populations of the East Coast. At the southern end of the plateau, the Kaveri functions as a critical daily resource. Because it is highly accessible, its waters are the subject of some of the most intense and long-standing resource disputes in the South. However, the Kaveri possesses a mechanical advantage over other southern rivers. It is the only one that stays perennial, as it captures rainfall from both the advancing summer monsoon and the retreating winter monsoon. Viewed from a macro perspective, these two engines work in tandem. The youth and volatility of the Himalayas and the ancient stability of the peninsula form a single synchronized system. To understand the flow of these rivers is to understand the geography of survival. These are the arteries that have shaped the past of Indian civilization and will determine its survival in the centuries to come.